And ladies and gentlemen, here he is, the nearly famous Rob Taylor.
Welcome again, once again, Coos County. You're joining us on a very beautiful day out here in Coos Bay. We only get a limited amount of sunny days, and I think there's like 10. So please get out there and enjoy this if you can. First, listen to the show for the next couple hours, but if you can and you're driving around, and try to enjoy as much of this day as you can, because we get so few of them, and it's a beautiful day out there in the Coos Bay area. One of the best things that this county has ever done, and it's something we should be very proud of, is that back in 2012, we were facing in Coquille one of the largest land grabs on the West Coast. It was the Bandon Marsh expansion. It was going to take 5,000 acres of the most pristine agricultural land out of the market and into what they call a safety zone, where they were going to eliminate all remnants of mankind from the mouth of the Coquille River all the way up to Coquille, the city of Coquille. And they were going to eliminate all the old houses up there. They were going to eliminate all the farms. Most of them are organic farms. A lot of these people are very progressive-minded. And so it was something that we had to come together as a community. And, anyone who's been in a farming community, you've got people that have been out here for generations, and a lot of them, they still got family feuds going on. So we knew we were going to have a tough job, but we congealed as a community, and we got together, and we were fighting against the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. That was the agency who was trying to claim those 5,000 acres. And in fact, when you looked at the map from the Coquille Watershed Association, it wasn't just 5,000 acres. It was 17,000 acres, and they planned to take it all the way to Myrtle Point. Well, luckily, we had a lot of very, very talented people who united together, and we put up a huge front. We went down to our commissioners. We asked the commissioners to put an advisory question on the ballot. It was a very good thing that they did. In fact, when we were at the meeting, the first meeting we went to, Cam Perry, who was the commissioner, worked with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and he said, I'm going to go and talk to these guys because I know them, and there's no way they're going to be grabbing our acreage, and there's no way they're going to take our land. This just can't be happening. So I guess when Cam went down there and had a meeting with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, they basically told him to go pound sand, that they were the U.S. federal government, and they could do whatever they wanted to do. And that's what they were going to do. So we had Cam write up the resolution. It was a great resolution. Then they put an advisory question to it, and then they put that advisory question on the ballot. I believe it was a huge turnout that year. It was like 79% turnout. That's a pretty good turnout for any election. And of that turnout, 72% of the people, that's you voters out there, 72% of you people told the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, hell no, we did not want you to take any more of our land. Land is becoming scarce. It's becoming very expensive. And the fact is that people, ranchers from all over the state, bring their cattle into the Coquille area because the grass and the plant and the foliage is so nutrient that they can gain more weight in 2 weeks than they can in 2 months anywhere else. That's how powerful a natural area that we have there in the Coquille Valley. So it was a good thing. And by the way, we stopped that expansion, and it was the largest expansion on the West Coast. And us, little old Coos County, stood up to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and we defeated them temporarily. They're still sitting over there at the Bandon Marsh, and I can tell you the leaders over there are looking eastward towards the rest of the river, and they still want that, and we know they want that. Luckily, we have an administration that's trying to take away a lot of this money for these acquisitions. They haven't taken away enough. In fact, in my opinion, they should eliminate the Land Water Conservation Fund, which has $600 million sitting in it, maybe almost $1 billion now, just set aside for land acquisitions. That's your money that is going to be used to pay for more land that is going to be taken out of the tax base for your county. And then they're going to mismanage that land. And then there's a good chance it's going to catch on fire. And it's a good chance it'll spread to other places. And you don't have to look too far to see that because it's happening in California. It happened in Paradise, California. So one of the things we want to do is to stop a lot of these land grabs. And there's another land grab that is currently going to happen right here in Coos Bay. It's more than just a land grab. In fact, it's a land water grab. And what's happening is that the Confederate Indian tribe has asked the Oregon Parks and Rec Department to declare the Coos Bay, that's the entire bay from the mouth of the river all the way around, as a historic district. And you may ask yourself, what does that mean? And we're going to go into that discussion because I got someone here who's a very, very intelligent person and who's very well thought out on this issue. She's been working on it quite a long time. And I want you people to get involved because this is going to affect you. If you own property that's connected to the bay or to any of the tributaries to the bay, if this historic district goes into play, you're going to have more rules and more regulations on your property, which is going to devalue your property. And the people who are going to be setting these rules are the Confederate Indian tribe. They're a sovereign nation, which we don't have very little legal retaliatory against because they are treated as a sovereign nation. So I'm going to ask all of you, if you get a chance, I want you to put your thinking caps on. And if you live and you have property in Coos Bay, I want you to take down this number, 541-267-2124, because I'm sure that when we start this show, you're probably going to have quite a few questions coming up. And when I get back, I'm going to get to my guest, who's a planning commissioner, and we're going to discuss the new Coos Bay Historic District. And for now, we'll be right back.
Hi, Danny here at Far West Tire and Auto. Do you feel like you're constantly on the go? From daily commuting, dance recitals, and weekend adventures? I'm sure your tires have never let you down, but that much time on the road can cause some wear and tear on your tires. It might be time to consider upgrading to Nokians. With the 50,000-mile warranty on select Nokians, you can hit the road in style. So stop on by Far West Tire and Auto on Highway 101 Coos Bay. Always the right tire, always the right price.
Stop in today to the all-new one-stop gun shop, Hole in the Wall Gun Shop in Coos Bay. Your area leader in quality firearms. Hole in the Wall Gun Shop proudly features the top brands of new and used handguns, hunting rifles, black rifles, antique and collectible guns, ammo, mace, and more. Gun cleaning and repair, expert advice, and handgun safety classes for concealed carry permits are offered too. So stop into Hole in the Wall Gun Shop across from Cumyons on Highway 101 South in Coos Bay. We buy, sell, or trade.
The RV business is booming at the Boomin' Y, and Gibbs RV is looking for nice pre-owned RVs to consign or buy. Gibbs RV makes it so simple. They will come to your location, give you a fair appraisal, and help take care of all the paperwork. It doesn't get any easier than that. So let the professionals at Gibbs RV take the hassle out of selling or consigning your RV. Stop by and see them today at 1845 Ocean Boulevard in Coos Bay by the Big Boomin' Y in Empire, or check them out at gibbsrv.com.
We're back in session. It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
Thank you for joining me, Coos Bay. And if you were listening to me before the commercials, we were talking about the Coos Bay Historic District that the Confederate Indian Tribe is asking to be created by the Oregon Department of Parks and Rec. And right now, I have Joann Hansen joining me, who's a planning commissioner for the for Coos County, right? Yeah.
Right.
All right. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
That's good. You're someone who I've known for a while, and anytime I had a question about the real estate, I always called you up and asked you because you're someone who I know knows every ins and out. You've learned more and forgotten more about real estate than I'll ever know. And so that's why, I've been to a lot of these planning commissions, and I watch these guys argue with you who think they know everything. And I just laugh because you can sit there and just tie them up with what you know out of the ORSs and the codes and all the different things that regulate real estate. And a lot of people just don't know. You know what I mean? And they go to these planning commissions and they get a little upset because things aren't going their way, and then they try to cite things that just don't create. So I've always enjoyed that you always sit there the way you do right now and have that smile on and just know that what they're saying is a bunch of BS. I'm sure you enjoy that quite often yourself, right?
Oh, I really enjoy being on the planning commission. We try to actually help people as much as we can, and sometimes they have to come back if they haven't got it all together. But it's a really good thing for Coos County to have a planning commission. It helps people quite a bit.
Oh, and that was something you have always been very helpful, and I agree with you 100%. Of all the planning committees, of all the committees that are on the county, your committee, you guys on the committee, you've got Steve Shearer, I believe, was there. Charlie Waterman is there. I forget the other couple of people, but I know every single one of them have gone out of their way to help people who have had issues with different properties and have tried to get them to make sure that they could adhere to code so that you could pass it. In fact, you guys work with people on a regular basis to try to make sure that they can get the things they need so that they can do business in the county.
That's right. Yep, that's what we're there for. We just want to make sure that they do it right so we don't have any problems and they don't have any problems down the road.
Now, you were the president of the Realtors Association in 2011. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. So like I said, you're someone who's more knowledgeable on real estate than most anyone else in the county. So that's why I wanted to have you here. And I know you've been looking at this historic district. Could you kind of give us an overview of what this is that they're asking for, the Confederate tribes?
Well, they're asking to turn our complete bay from the jetty all the way to the tributaries into what's called a TCP, which is a traditional cultural properties.
Okay.
What they do when they do that is they claim everything to the high water mark, but it doesn't stop there. What happens is that the people who adjoin that high water mark, or for instance, some of the people who actually own property beyond the high water mark into the bay, are actually terribly affected by this. They do not have a clue what could happen to their property. Any historical piece of property has to have permission, quote unquote, to do any kind of additions, deletions, for instance, changing windows.
Oh, you're kidding me.
Putting a roof on, changing siding. I mean, it doesn't make any difference what it is. There's a permit process that you have to go through.
Now, who would be giving the permission for this?
The Indians would have to give the permission for it.
And they would also be able to set their own rules and regulations for this?
Oh, yes, absolutely, because it's their TCP.
It's their TCP. Oh, that's wonderful. One of the things that I've noticed that went out in the mail, they had a postcard that went out in the mail, but it didn't give much information. It gave a website. And, of course, when you have a postcard, you got to sit there and type in manually the website. So I imagine a lot of people thought, oh, this doesn't concern me, and threw it away. You're trying to organize and help get a little more information out to tell people how this is going to affect them. Can you tell us about how many properties there are that are going to be affected and how you guys are going about to let them know what's happening?
There are 1,600 individual properties that are affected by this TCP.
Wow, that's a lot.
And that's just around the bay.
Okay.
Every single one of those 1,600 people need to know what their options are. They can opt out of this TCP, but they have to do it on a specific form that has to be notarized and sent to a specific address.
So it's not like opting out for a smart meter. I can't just call my electrical company and tell them, look, I'm opting out. And this is something that you have to do because these are legal hearings that they're going through with the Oregon Departments of Park and Rec, right? In fact, it's a hearing that's coming up on the 22nd. Right.
Yep.
And so that's why you have to have the specific form. Do you have the number of that form?
I don't know that there's a form, but I tell you what we plan on doing is we plan on doing a mailing to every single one of those 1,600 people, providing them with the forms so that they can opt out.
Now, what happens if all 1,600 people, and probably not going to happen. But what happens if the majority of them do opt out? Does that send a message to the people who are creating this historic district?
If the majority of the people opt out of this TCP, it cannot happen.
Oh, that would be the best thing to happen. That would be the best thing to happen, is if all of you people who live in that 1,600 have any one of those 1,600 properties, right now your best defense is to get a copy of this form. And like you said, you're not sure that it's a specific form, but you got to get it notarized, and you got to get it to the Oregon's Park and Rec. And what's the timeline on that?
The timeline, I believe, is May 8th, but we want it in way before then.
Way before.
Before.
And the reason is that sometimes you get a second bite at the apple. You might be able to go testify, or you might be able to add more to your written testimony. Is that correct?
That's true.
Okay.
But let me read you from the instructions. It says, objecting to listing a property in the National Register of Historic Places. It says, objections may be submitted by providing a notarized statement. If the majority of private property owners holding fee simple absolute title to real property within a proposed historic district object to listing the district, it will not be listed in the National Register. Each owner may only object once, no matter how many properties an individual owns within the district. Owners who are not on the property owner list but who provide a notarized statement will be added to the property owner list, and the objection will be counted. So you do not have to be affected by the TCP in order to opt out, which we highly recommend.
Right.
So, and that is the only way. If you don't do it now, you don't have an option to do it later.
So if you're listening, folks, and this is very important, if you live anywhere around the bay, and even those who don't live directly right by the bay, you need to look up in the Oregon's Park and Rec. They have a place where you can go look at this, and it's in their. I'm not sure where is that classified in their website. Do you know specifically where anyone could get that form, maybe, or because you said there was a form? Do they have to fill out a specific form, or can they make something up?
No, it has to be their form.
It has to be their form,
yes.
And they can get it off of their website, and that's the Oregon's Park and Rec. And if you go to Park and Rec, they have a search engine that you can just type into opt-out forms for historic districts. Put that in there, and I'm sure that will pop up for you. And you need to fill that out. And you need to get it notarized even?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Which means you do not sign it before you go to the notary. You sign it in front of the notary.
That's a good thing to know, because I wouldn't have known that. See, that's why we have Joann here, because I would have gave you the completely wrong information on that. But yes, so you have to go get this form. And I recommend highly to all the listeners out there, if you're anywhere in Coos Bay, I'd just do it if I lived in Coos Bay and North Bend. If you lived in, well, actually, it would affect Charleston.
Yes.
Oh, wow. You see, if you live in Charleston, North Bend, Coos Bay, or anywhere around the bay or around the tributaries, what you need to do is you need to go to the Oregon's Park and Rec. You need to find that form, look in the opt-out form for historic districts. Download that. Don't sign it. Take it to a notary so you can sign it in front of the notary, and then you need to turn that into Parks and Rec, and you need to do that ASAP. You have until May, but you need to do it now, and the reason being is this is going to weigh heavy on their decisions. Why would anyone want to create a historic district? What's the advantage to the Confederate tribes to have this as a historic district?
Their reason, as far as they explained it at the January informational meeting, is that they have specific sites that contain their heritage.
Right.
And they want to protect their heritage. But according to the letter from the commissioners who have already opposed it, sent the opposition letter into the Department of Parks, those sites have been mitigated many, many times, so they're really not even close to being existent anymore.
Right. And going back to the county commissioners, I didn't see the meeting where they had this. How long ago was this when they wrote this letter? Do you know?
Oh, yeah. Just this last week, as far as I know.
Yeah, I knew it had to be within a fairly recent amount of time because I normally see their meetings. I try to keep them on TV or I read the minutes of the meeting so I know what's happening. So I know it must have been a fairly recent meeting because I haven't seen any of that.
Yeah, they just met a week ago Tuesday, I think, and the letter went out February 15th.
And that's unanimous from the entire board, right?
Unanimous, yes.
Now, did the Planning Commission send out any letters, any recommendations on it?
No, it's never come before us.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry, Joann. The historic district that they want to create has never gone before the Planning Commission.
No, I don't think they even expected to send it to us, which I don't understand at all.
I don't understand that either. I mean, you put up a shed and you have to go see you guys. Why are these people able to claim the entire bay and they don't have to see you?
Oh, no, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Wow, that's interesting. That right there kind of ticks me off because if we got a planning commission, why have a planning commission if you're just going to come into a county and do whatever you want because you're a state agency? That just seems to be absolutely the opposite of what we wanted to do here. But okay. And by the way, I hope it's not considered racist to opt out. I mean, you're fighting for the Indian, culture. I mean, I hope the Indians don't get upset because I support. I'm one of those I'm a historian. I believe that we should all find out our cultures. I just don't think it should be at the expense of another group of people. So, I think we may even have a few problems with this. But we're getting close to that half-hour break, and I'm going to go ahead and take that because I want to go a little bit longer on the next time around. And when we do that, we'll be right back.
Hey, don't be left standing in the dust. Take the lead with the help of Tom & Giggs 4x4 Performance Parts and Service. Off-road truck parts, lift kits, accessories, and more. Whether it's hitting the dunes, slinging some mud, or hitting the mountains, Tom & Giggs can definitely help you get your rig ready for your next adventure. What are you waiting for? Get it to Tom & Giggs Automotive next to Moe's Car Wash in Empire, Coos Bay, or visit TomandGiggs.com. Bigger is better.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Think you can't manage the down payment it takes to purchase a new home? Think again. You could move into a $150,000 home with as little as $1,500 down with our 1% down payment option. The rate today on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 3.99%, APR 4.19%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. Every day people ask me, Jay, did I miss out? Have the rates gone up? The answer is no. Rates are still low, and it's a perfect time to refinance your home, especially if your mortgage rate is higher than 4.25%. If you'd like to lower your interest rate and save thousands of dollars in interest without starting over on a new 30-year loan, a Quicken Loans Yorgage is what you're looking for. With our exclusive Yorgage, you can choose a term that works best for you, anywhere from 8 to 30 years. The rate today on an 8-year Yorgage is 3.25%, APR 3.75%. For 7 years in a row now, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation for customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. And for the 3rd year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in the nation for mortgage servicing. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to QuickenLoans.com. That's 800-QUICKEN.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
Your brain is an amazing thing, but as you get older, it naturally begins to change, causing a lack of sharpness or even trouble with recall. Thankfully, the breakthrough in Prevagen helps your brain and actually improves memory. The secret is an ingredient originally discovered in jellyfish. In clinical trials, Prevagen has been shown to improve short-term memory. Prevagen, the name to remember, now available in stores everywhere. Statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
All right, so I have insomnia, but I've never slept better. And what's changed? Just a pillow. It's had such a positive impact on my life. And, of course, I'm talking about MyPillow. I fall asleep faster, I stay asleep longer, and now you can, too. Just go to MyPillow.com or call 800-919-6090. Use the promo code Hannity, and Mike Lindell, the inventor of MyPillow, has the special 4-pack. Now, you get 40% off 2 MyPillow Premiums and 2 Go Anywhere pillows. Now, MyPillow is made here in the USA, has a 60-day unconditional money-back guarantee, and a 10-year warranty. Go to mypillow.com right now or call 800-919-6090, promo code Hannity, to get Mike Lindell's special 4-pack offer. You get 2 MyPillow premium pillows and 2 Go Anywhere pillows for 40% off. And that means once those pillows arrive, you start getting the kind of peaceful and restful and comfortable and deep healing and recuperative sleep that you've been craving and you certainly deserve. MyPillow.com, promo code Hannity. You will love this pillow.
We're back in session. It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
Here's the forms.
All right, we're back on air now. We were looking at some of the forms. Joann has brought some of the forms back in, and I was taking a look at them. And if you want to contact the Oregon Department of Parks and Rec, this is what I recommend you do. You call the State Historic Preservation Office. Now, if you got a pen, I'm going to give you a number. It's 503-986-0681, and that's the State Historic Preservation Office. Or you can go to OregonHeritage.com. Isn't that it?
.org. OregonHeritage.org.
OregonHeritage.org, and then you download the form, fill out the form, don't sign it, take it to a notary, and then have that notary witness it so you can send that in to the Oregon's Department of Parks and Rec. And that's something that I recommend everyone to do immediately, and here's why. When we were fighting against the Bandon Marsh expansion, we knew that Peter DeFazio was very much in support of the expansion. And in fact, one of the decks out there on the marsh is named after Peter DeFazio. So we know how much he supported it. Well, when we were facing the expansion, we wanted to get to a way to make Peter more, see things our way. And so what we did is he was sitting on the Nature Committee, Board of Natural Resources Committee in the House. And so we wrote all the other members on that committee. And so when he went back to Washington, they were bugging him. Why are all your people writing about this committee and telling you not to make him the chair, because he was trying to get a chair position? So we were writing them saying he's not responsive to the people. They're trying to take our land and that we need to do something about this. So I forget the gentleman who the name on there is, I forget, he was from Alaska, but he gave so much heat to Peter DeFazio that Peter DeFazio finally came down here. He met with us, and he eventually helped in stopping that, even though most of his other policies are still pretty bad. And so at least he was responsive, but only because we put pressure on him. So that's why I'm asking all of you out there, if you got a chance and you want to stop this historic district, you need to fill out this form, go to the OregonHeritage.org and download it and make sure that you get this in. We were just talking before the break that the Oregon Parks and Rec Department doesn't even recognize the Confederate Indians as an Indian tribe.
No, the National Historic Register
doesn't recognize
them.
And once they create this historic district, that would be a recognition, correct?
Right, and that'll save them a lot of steps when they want something designated as a historic place.
Right, but not only that, that opens up the door, I imagine, for a lot of other things that other Indian tribes get that they may not be getting because they're not designated as a tribe. Would you think that would possibly be the situation here?
Yeah, they're asking for our help to do that for them, but this is not the answer. This is not the way for them to do that.
No, and I agree with you. And in fact, a lot of the times, in Coquille up in the river, there's so many farmers who are afraid that any time they find artifacts or bones, it's the old, well, we'll just bury it and forget it, is the old motto up there. And I would imagine if there weren't so many rules and regulations to turning into this stuff, that the Indians might actually get more of the historic artifacts back to them if they didn't have so much area where they can place a safety zone around your property and claim it as a historic area. They would probably get back a lot more of their artifacts if they would leave people alone and, be more cooperative. And this seems to me as something that's not very cooperative or a good way to be a good neighbor. But the thing is I'm looking at the LNG project. And we were talking about this earlier, and I was wondering how the LNG played into that. And would you tell me what your theory is on this?
Well, according to the testimony of the attorney that was at the informational meeting in January, the LNG project has absolutely nothing to do with this, quote, unquote, and that they have made an agreement with Jordan Energy Project.
And, of course, that agreement hasn't been made public, has it?
No.
Of course not.
No. But if this thing should happen, if it should get passed, there are several steps that would have to be taken, and it would cause our cities and our counties countless hours of work to revamp what we have already set up in our ordinances. And the permit process would be, for instance, for one individual, $306 for staff review, $1,400 for a conditional use, and $2,500 for the Coos County Planning Commission hearing. That's not including what you might have to pay for someone to help you out with your project and all of your other costs that you want to do simply for adding something to your land.
Or putting a window, like you said.
Or adding a roof, or changing a roof, or putting in new windows, or whatever. I mean, it's just amazing how much it's going to cost each individual should this thing pass. It's just not worth it. And the other thing is that we have an estuary plan all the way around the bay already.
I was going to ask you about that. We do have a huge estuary plan, and all the watersheds are tapped into this, and they all have their own environmental plans.
Right. We've already got that covered. The Indians are already covered for that. They really are. So they really don't need this, and neither do we.
And, well, Joann, that's the problem I'm having trying to figure out really what benefit is to them, because if they got an agreement with LNG, it sounds like then they're not going to have a problem with that project coming in, and they'll probably get their palms greased a little bit on the side. Who knows? I didn't get to see the contract, but we don't know, and so I'll go ahead and make those assumptions because, heck, why not? That's been their modus operandi so far. The LNG comes in here and they spread a lot of money around, which, by the way, I don't blame them. If I was coming in here with that big project, I'd be spreading a lot of money around too and making as many people as happy as I can and showing them that I'm a good neighbor. But then to find out they've made this secret agreement with the Indian tribe when the Indian tribe is trying to take all of the rest of the bay, which will affect 1,600 pieces of property, which is going to affect literally almost 1,600 families are going to be affected by this. And yet they're kind of, well, we're going to sit on the side because we made agreement, probably because we paid off the Indians. Don't really know because we don't have any of the details. We're not given any of the details. But yet the rest of you are going to have to suffer with this. It doesn't seem fair, Joann.
No, it doesn't. Mm-mm.
What, when they go through with this, and they put these new regulations on there, and they can now become more burdensome for the planning department. You guys are going to have to basically rewrite the county code, right? Right. So this is, like you said, going to cost a little bit of money, and there's not a whole lot of workers in the planning department. They're already understaffed and overworked. I know how Jill is over there,
right? And
so I can only imagine this is going to be nothing but. How are we going to? Because we also lose. It seems to me like we're losing maybe. Not only are we going to be charged more money, but we're not going to make as much money on these properties because the property itself seems they're going to be devalued, wouldn't they?
Yes. Well, think about a buyer coming into the area, and let's say this thing passes.
Okay.
First thing they're going to have to know is that there's a disclosure that the owner has to make, that there's a TCP, right?
Right.
So is that new buyer going to be thinking, well, I don't know if I want to buy a piece of property that's affected by this historic TCP.
Right.
Am I going to be able to do what I want to do with my property? Or is it going to cost me all kinds of money to do what I need to do? So they're going to go down the coast and say, hey, let's go someplace else where we can find a piece of property. We don't have to deal with this.
Right. All right. That's what I see happening there. That was the same thing, we were talking about the Bandon Marsh, is that, they created a situation, especially with the mosquitoes, that they were claiming that they were only going to buy property from willing sellers. Well, you devalue their property, you create a mosquito infestation, and gee, everyone out there is a willing seller at this point, and they'll take anything they can get. So I can see that this may be part of this plan where the Indians may be actually trying to devalue the property as a way maybe to buy more land. I mean, it seems to me like that would be a way, if I was someone who was dubious, and I wanted to lower the value of my neighbor's land or people around me so maybe I could take a piece of that property, maybe I would create a historic district. And maybe I'd make sure and put a whole bunch of rules where you can't do much with your property, then you can't really sell it, and I'm going to make you an offer on that. Wow. Sounds like something's going on here, Joann, and maybe I'm just suspicious, but hey, we've got a caller on here. You're going to like this next caller. He's someone you might know. We've got Jim Bice on the line. Jim, you there?
No, I'm not here, Rob. I went away.
Okay. We no longer have
Hi,
a caller.
I called in. I just wanted to clarify some things on this. Now, as you and Joann have mentioned, if you allow your property to go into this historic district, then the Indian tribe will be able to come in and tell you what you may or may not do on your own property. Is that correct?
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay. So my question is, since they're going to have authority to dictate what I may or may not do on my own property, does that mean that they're going to make the mortgage payment and pay my taxes as well?
Well, that's only wishful thinking, isn't it?
Have they so far?
And that's exactly my point. They want to have the use of people's property to do with as they please without compensation. Didn't we fight a Revolutionary War over that?
Yeah, absolutely we did. Not only did we fight a Revolutionary War, Jim, is we had the American Indian Wars. And one thing that we should learn from war is that to the victor goes the spoils. Now, I feel bad that the Indians lost, but I feel much better that our side won because now we have medicines and modernization and all the technologies that go with it, right?
Right. Yeah. You know, I'd be a whole lot more sympathetic if they were still living in holes in the ground and rubbing bear grease on their bodies to repel insects.
Yeah,
Why do they get to have the benefits of my culture, but not only do they not want to let us join their culture, they want to inflict their culture on us by stealing our property.
And that's what it looks like to me. And like I said, if you were someone of a suspicious mind, that's, like I said, if I was a dubious person and I wanted to take my neighbor's property, the first thing I would do is go in to make sure that it was devalued to the point where they would sell to anybody, and then I'd make them a good offer on it. And it seems like that's what they're opening up the door for.
Well, South Slough did it down there.
Right.
They did it to adjoining property owners. They tried to pull it off, as you mentioned, on Abandoned Marsh. This is just another attempt to screw over people that have paid their hard-earned money to buy property and pay taxes, and it gives somebody else control of what you own. And I think that is a travesty.
Oh, absolutely. Joann, you want to add something to that?
Well, there's nothing more important than protecting your very own private property rights. And in this instance, that's exactly what you need to do. Nobody else can do it for you. You have worked hard to obtain your home, your land, your business, your industry. Please take this opportunity to protect it. It is vitally important.
And that's I couldn't tell you people more. I couldn't emphasize this more importantly. If you do not act now, you may find yourself to the point where you can't even change your windows or a fencing post without going and asking permission for someone and having to pay a lot of money to get it done. And this is what we're looking at here.
Yeah, and here's the thing people need to take into account. For most people, their home is their singular largest asset. Oftentimes home ownership is the dividing line between making it in the world and not making it in the world.
Oh, absolutely.
And now we've got a third party wants to come in and tell us how we may or may not use our primary asset at the expense of our families. Does that make any sense to anybody?
Well, it does if you're the Indian tribe, it does.
Well, I suppose. Apparently my ancestors screwed up royally. If they'd have done the job right, we wouldn't be having this problem, right?
I agree with you, Jim.
Well, let's just take an example. At one point in time, my family owned a 365-acre parcel here in this county. And I loved that property. I grew up on that property, and my parents sold it.
Oh.
And I think that because I grew up on that property and I love that property, I should have that property back. Don't you think?
I think so, Joann.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an emotional attachment, and, you need to have that security. I agree with you.
Right.
My family's from Ireland.
Let me take it a step farther.
Yeah?
Let me take it a step farther. My ancestry is Northern German. So shouldn't I be able to go back to Germany and demand my ancestral properties back along with compensation for all the years that somebody else has used it?
Yes, absolutely. And that's where we're getting to. And that's what social justice is all about. And that's what I'm worried about, that this is more about that type of thing, a social justice. And I'm guarantee you, Jim, you're going to see this. We've got to do this to promote the culture of the Indian and save the people. You know what I'm saying? You can see the propaganda already, right?
Oh yeah. This is just the first step was actually building the casinos, and then they built housing additions.
Yep.
And now they're wanting to steal land from other people. Where does this end?
Well, hopefully it ends in this county. Hopefully it ends right here with the people standing up and deciding to say no. And I really hope that all of you in Coos Bay and Coos County are listening to this, because this is going to affect not just the property that's directly affected by the historic district, but all the property adjacent to that, because there's a ripple effect on it.
Exactly, and now I'm going to be my home is in that designated area. I will be filling out one of those forms and getting it notarized and sent in. But what if my neighbors don't?
Right.
If my neighbors don't opt out, then I'm still screwed.
And I've seen some of your neighbors. I don't know if they can even write, Jim.
No, Rob, you're confused. I don't live in Bandon.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, they can they're mouth breathers, so okay. All right, we've salted enough people. I appreciate you calling in, Jim. You made very good points. Before I go to this next break, as you know, we always have a giveaway on the show, and I have a really good one from one of my favorite places on the world, Mickey D's, McDonald's. Yes, you too, if you would like, you can get one free dessert of your choice, one free breakfast sandwich of your choice, and one free small McCafe one free small McCafe beverage. They're very good. I should have had one before I came in. And if you, with that package, you'll get a buy one, get one free sheet for many different items. And all you have to do is be the third caller at 541-267-2124, and we'll be right back.
Well, I was driving across town when my car got down, started lurching and trying to die. Well, luckily there was a shop, and when it struggled to a stop, a nice fella met me right outside. I said, "Man, something's wrong. What the heck is going on?" He said, "I tell you this, I got no doubt. You just relax and don't you worry. We can fix it in a hurry, because your car is what we're all about. We do it all."
Bayshore Auto and RV Repair, your one-stop shop for all your automotive and RV mechanical repairs. Stop by and see Jeff and his friendly staff on Bayshore Drive in Coos Bay.
There's no reason to guess. The verdict is in, and the solid winner continues to be Herbal Choices.
I think everyone knows why Herbal Choices is the leader.
You and I see Herbal Choices the same way, like a part of our family. They know me when I come in, and they're always happy to show me all that's new, including Jim Belushi's new harvest.
Hi, Jim Belushi here. My Belushi Farms private vault is exclusively here, Southern Oregon coast at Herbal Choices. Check it out. It's the only choice.
And no matter where you are, Herbal Choices is close by. Coos Bay, Charleston, and Bandon. They always keep me updated on their website at www.theherbalchoices.com.
No one can compete with Herbal Choices prices. They now have so many locations that they buy large quantities and pass the savings along to their customers. It's their people, friendly, always ready to help with knowledgeable answers. It's like dealing with family.
Do not operate a vehicle under the influence of marijuana. For use by people 21 and older, keep out of the reach of children.
Looking for a new or used firearm? You should get to know the friendly folks at World Pawn Exchange. Located at 1980 Sherman in downtown North Bend, World Pawn Exchange buys, sells, and trades firearms of all types. And with their extensive, ever-changing inventory, they could have just the right firearm for you. If they don't have that gun that you want in stock, they'll be more than happy to special order it for you. World Pawn Exchange in downtown North Bend, where you'll find more than you can possibly imagine.
We're back in session. It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
Hey, everyone. If you've been listening, we are talking about the land water grab that's going on here by the Oregon Parks and Rec Department. And really, you know, if you want to be angry at anyone who actually makes this decision, it's going to be the Oregon Parks and Rec. They're the ones you need to direct your anger at because they're the ones who've created the policy which the Indians can follow through on and create these historic districts. In fact, it's not just the tribe. Pretty much anyone can create a historic district, can't they? All they have to do is just make a claim on it.
Mm-hmm. You have to apply for it.
And how do you apply for a historic? I might want to turn my house into a historic district. I mean, you just go. How do you apply for these things?
You go directly to Oregon Parks and Recreation.
Really?
Yes.
Amazing. They just and I noticed that they get a lot of grants for buildings and stuff for these historic districts.
Yes, they do, and they have a lot of the parks that they have that the state of Oregon Parks has are historic parks now. They've all converted to historical parks.
Now, what's the advantage to having it? It'd be so that they can get grants for the historic parks?
Absolutely.
Is it a money thing? Because you get federal grants for that, and they get matching funding and all that stuff. So if you designated a certain thing, in this case, a historic district, then you can get those certain grants. Yeah, that's amazing for me. That's amazing. Can you tell everyone when the meeting is that they should be showing up for?
The meeting is tomorrow night. Or no, the 22nd. I'm sorry.
22nd.
22nd at 7 o'clock at the Coos Bay Library.
And I recommend everyone show up. And please bring your pitchforks and torches. That's required for these types of things. One of the other things that's going on right now, if you are a landlord, and, you know, I've never liked that term. They're trying to change it because it's politically incorrect now. In fact, my editor on my writing program always changes that for me from landlord to property owners, and then I have to change it back because, you know, I'm a landlord. And so what they're doing right now is they're trying to create to make it more access for more people to be able to rent houses, and I think they've been going a really bad way of doing this. Measures introduced in the 2019 session of the Oregon legislature, there was 1,927 measures introduced.
Yes.
Wow. You know, that's why you can never keep track of them. I think I got 4 of them I'm keeping track of, and I can barely keep track of those 4. 20 passed the House, 14 have passed the Senate, and 0 have been signed by the governor. However, that's about ready to change because they just passed rent control through the Senate. Isn't that correct?
Yes, they did.
All right. I've got someone on the line.
But it hasn't gone to the House yet.
Oh, I thought it's already passed the House.
No, it passed the Senate, but it hasn't gone to the House.
The lady in the Senate, the representative who's the chair of the Senate, Tina Kotek, she's already said that she would make it's almost a guarantee to come out of the House. And they just had, I saw the Senate hearings where it was 2-1 for instead of being opposed for it.
Right.
And so that they must have really stacked the deck up there. We've got a caller on the line. Lee, are you there?
Yes, sir, I am.
Hey, you got a question or comment for our planning commissioner?
A little of both, really. About this registration for a historic district, you know, is there any group or anything trying to contact landowners around the bay right now? Who would I contact?
Joann, you want to handle that one?
Yes, there is, and we're not completely set up yet, but by Monday we will be set up. We will have an office with complete staff that will be available from 9 to 5. They will have notaries. They will help you fill out your forms. They will have forms available for you. And we haven't decided on the location yet because we have 2 options. So check back with Rob next Monday, and I'll make sure he gets the information.
Well, thank you very much. And in fact, Lee, I'm going to make sure and put it up on my website, and Jim will probably put it up on his website, which is coosnews.com. So I'm sure you can get that information there.
Okay, and I have one other comment, okay?
Sure.
For all these lunatics that want to have rent control and whatnot, where are we going to put all the homeless people when they can't afford the rent?
Well, the same place they're putting them now, in a tent in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, I know. I'm so disgusted by this whole nonsense. If they would let, we're capitalistic. We work by competition. What the market will allow, and by having this false, action taken, it just bollocks up the whole system. And I wish to God people would wise up. I really do.
I wish they would too, because what the problem is that they're taking advantage of ignorant renters who don't realize that landlords, like businesses, do not pay extra. We do not pay taxes. All of that is passed on to our renters. Wouldn't you agree with that, Joann?
Absolutely.
I mean, and I used to rent a house in San Diego, okay, and I owned the house outright. And my profit margin was only about 6.5%, even owning the house. Okay,
wow.
So it's like, for these people who are like buying, a house or an apartment building or whatever, their margin for profit is very, very small.
Yes, and as someone who owns rentals too, I know exactly what you're going through. It's hard to make a dime on these things. And people don't realize what you have to do to keep a house at a place that you can rent it, and what you have to do to keep the renters happy, because anymore the laws are basically on the side of the renter.
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are.
Anyway, I suggest anybody to try it before they speak out, But anyway, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate everything you guys are doing, and hopefully we can stop this historic district. All right. Thanks again, man.
Well, I definitely think we can stop it. I think this is something, if you're going to be getting in office, Joann, for this, I think that I see, and we were just talking off the air. I just did a referendum on urban renewal, and two of the biggest people that I was fighting against was Dick Leshley and Todd Gorgon. And we actually all agree on this issue. So, when you see me and Todd and Dick all getting together on one issue, this must be a really bad deal for property owners. So, that in itself is something you should look in. Looks like you had something to add before we go out of here.
Just take your time, take your form and get it notarized and do your duty to yourself.
Right. To yourself. And we'll be right back with Joann after the break.
Finally, the way talk should be heard. 630 and 101.1 FM. KWRO. Coquille live on KWRO.
We're back in session. It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
Well, if you're joining me, Coos Bay, and you've been listening to the first hour of the show, you're probably a little hot under the collar, because I know a lot of us are sitting here just completely bedazzled by what they're trying to do with the bay here in Coos Bay. And so one of the people who called up earlier, a lady called up on the show, and he talked to my producer, but she was so hot under the collar, and he had to get back to the show, that he wasn't able to get her number and have her redirected back on here. So if you're the lady who called and didn't get to come on and ask your questions, please call back. We'd love to hear from you. But we're going to continue on, because I know that Joann was talking about the effect that this housing district is going to have on people. And one of the things that you have to do to basically opt out of this is to contact the OregonHeritage.org and download an opt-out paper so that you can fill it out, take it to a notary, and have them witness you sign it, and then you have to take it to the Oregon Department of Parks and Rec. But we were talking that, Joann, there's a businesses here setting up office. Yes. And you're going to need some volunteers because now they've created a bunch of work for you.
Right.
What are you going to need help with, and how can they help you?
We need help addressing envelopes and stuffing them, and we're going to put a work group together to do that. So if anybody would like to volunteer, please give me a call.
And if you want, you can call here at the radio station, or you can call me at 541-347-9942 is my home number. If you want to find out more and you want to get involved with this, I can give your information over to Joann. Or you can email me at cooscountywatchdog@gmail.com and let me know that way, and I can make sure that she gets your information, because this is going to be a battle. I can see this is going to be a battle because, we've got some very interesting sides. It seems like the LNG project, which has a secret agreement with the Indian tribe, and the Indian tribe's application has also been very heavily redacted, meaning a lot of the parts have been blacked out. And the reason that they're giving for that is they're saying that the sites that are mentioned are already historical sites, right? And, Of course, we don't want people to know where those are because, horrible white people might go over there and steal more of their heritage, and we wouldn't want that to happen. And I kind of don't blame the Indians. It's okay to protect yourself. My problem is you can protect yourself, you just don't have to take the whole bay to do it. So I hope you get in contact with us, and we're going to continue on in this subject. We'll have more information on CoosCountyWatchdog.com, and I'm sure Joann will keep me apprised of all the things that are going on. But I'm going to kind of switch gears here, because not only do we have a land grab going on, but we have a bunch of legislators in Salem right now who are trying to tell anyone who owns property, especially rental properties, what you can and cannot do with this property. And one of the worst bills out is Senate Bill 608. And I'm going to let Joann tell us what is Senate Bill 608 and how is it going to affect us?
Well, Senate Bill 608 doesn't allow landlords a no-cause eviction. It outlines exactly what you can evict a tenant for, and most of those provisions are extreme provisions.
I was going to ask you, what would be justified as a no-cause eviction?
Well, let's say that you have a 10-unit apartment complex and you have one individual who decides that he's going to get drunk every night and cause all kinds of problems and knock on doors and leave his music running all night and isn't very tidy, and you'd like to get rid of him.
It sounds like you've had this experience before. I was going to say, I've been there, done this. Okay. So that would actually be a no-cause eviction.
That would be a no-cause eviction. And what a landlord would have to do is give him notice. But then under the new laws, he can stop doing this act.
Really?
And he can remedy the situation, and he doesn't have to move. But that doesn't stop him from harassing his neighbors.
Oh, jeez. That's what I need. Yeah, not being able to control my crazy renter who's there. The other thing that this does is it sets a maximum rent increase.
Yes, 7% every year. In addition to that is the I'm sorry, can't think of the name.
We had the no-cause eviction, then the 7% increase, a yearly increase.
It happens every September. It's done by, this is awful. I can't remember.
Oh, that always happens to me when I'm trying to think of something. But the thing is that this rent increase is only 7%. Now, I know someone who is renting an apartment for $300. Oh, go ahead.
It's the Consumer Price Index. So in September of every year, the Consumer Price Index is published.
Okay.
And so the landlord can raise the rent by 7% each year, plus the consumer price index.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's a little bit better, but it's still rent control if you were someone who had a reason that you wanted to increase the rent. And I can give you a good reason. The LNG plant comes in here. We're going to see a huge increase in property rentals, wouldn't you think?
Yes.
And so when that happens, if you're not able to keep up with that, you may find yourself not being able to make as much as you would and keep up with the Joneses, who are probably charging a little bit more. And what I'm worried about is this may actually cause rents to go up, because if you can't raise your rent when you need to, then won't you automatically raise your rent at the annual time?
Absolutely. And the thing is, the history of the rental here, as far as I'm known, and I've been doing property management since 1983, is that most of the landlords are happy with market rents.
Right.
They're very happy with market rents. And this 608 doesn't even mention market rents.
Right.
At all.
And the market rent is what the market is demanding in the area that you're renting is.
That's right.
And so the market works, and that's why I don't charge $2,000 for my 2-bedroom. I have to charge the going rate, you know what I mean? And everyone else has to too, because they're not going to be able to find renters at that price. So one of the worries like I have with this 7% is that it's going to actually cause rent to go up. But the other things is, wouldn't it cause people not to take care of their rentals as much?
Right. If they can't make a profit, which is what their business is set up to do,
right, then
the first thing that goes, of course, is the maintenance.
The maintenance, right. And so that's what I was trying to explain to everyone, because I know people out there, and I've had renters who've told me this, well, I don't pay taxes. I don't pay those increases. Well, I got news for you. You do. Anytime that you get a reloan or refinance on a house, if you're having to pay more, usually it's the opposite way, but in case you do have to pay more, or at some point in time you get new taxes, all that's passed on to the renters.
Yes.
So I don't know where they get this. One of the things I was talking about last week, was the 3 Oregon lawmakers introduced a pet rent outlaw. They were going to outlaw pet rent. You know what I mean? Like pets pay rent. You know what I mean? But have you seen that one?
I looked at that one. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I hope it doesn't.
I hope it doesn't either.
I really don't know. But the other thing is that landlords now don't have to accept pets unless they're service animals. And that, if you have pet that causes pet damage, 608 actually provides for that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what other, we said there were 1,927 bills. What else was they got on the table for us?
Oh, my gosh. Well, some of the bills are for mobile home parks, and they've changed some things there. One of the bills that was brought to my attention is for landlords who are on wells and septic. And the bill requires the landlord to do a test on the well every year to make sure there's no contaminants in it, which is okay. I mean, that's a given. I would agree with that. But then you have to turn around if you have contaminants, and you have to let the tenant know that there was a contaminant in it, and then you only have so much time to remedy the situation.
Doesn't that open you up to liability?
Yes.
Great. So that's what I need as a landlord, is more liability. What else do you got there?
Oh, my gosh. Let's see. The time frames are different. They have this 90-day time frame on just about everything. It makes it so inconvenient for a person to sell their property that's being rented. To give you can't take 90 days
right,
and call that something that's going to work with the sale.
Oh, yeah, there's no way. Mm-mm. I mean, some of these things are really quick sales. You can get them done in 30 days, and then they have to sit there for another 60s waiting for your tenant to get out.
And then if they don't get out, you have an eviction. So, that's the whole thing. Yeah, there's so much more here in 608. I mean, it's amazing. The extremes that they've gone to here to make it almost next to difficult to evict a tenant is unbelievable.
And that's something that is already, they have a huge amount of protections for evictions
They
right
do,
now.
and you know it works. It's
and it
been
works.
working.
Right.
And why fix something that works?
Well, you know, politicians, that's the name of their job. In fact, I was going to ask you, have you heard about Governor Brown's ambitious and historic housing plan that she's just introduced? It's a 5-year plan. Let me read this to you. Brown said the plan provides a roadmap for agencies across the state that are tasked for helping people find stable housing. Teams traveled across the state to talk to people about housing issues. With that information, Oregon Housing and Community Services developed a 5-year plan named Breaking the Ground. The plan encompasses 6 priority areas, and you're going to love these priority areas: equity and racial justice, homelessness, permanent supportive housing, affordable rental housing, homeownership, and rural communities. Each area has its own goals. Both the director of OHCS and Governor Brown acknowledged that for their plan to be successful, it's going to take a lot of resources and work. Her budget calls for $400 million of state investments over 2 years to get affordable housing. I think they could do it through the private market, don't you?
I think that the answer is that we just haven't had enough houses built. We do have a housing shortage.
Right.
But making the landlords responsible for the housing shortage is just definitely not the answer.
Because they're really not the ones who caused it. And we were talking about this earlier. The reason that we have this problem is LCDC, the Land Conservation and Development Council. And we were talking about the rules that are coming, because they're cookie cutter rules, you know what I mean? And they don't fit every county, first off. So that's a huge problem. And second off is they're too heavy on the conservation and not heavy enough on the development.
Exactly. They need to pay attention to the D in LCDC.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Yep. So there's so much in 608. I would recommend that anybody who can get their hands on the bill ought to just pull it and read it, because it's 20, 30 pages long.
Yeah, I think it was like 28 pages, I thought it's, but it may have been more. And one of the things we were talking about is we're pretty sure that this bill is going to pass. So you can go up and call your legislator and ask them to vote against it. But if if it's already going to pass, you can go ahead and ask them to put a sunset on there. We were talking about that, like
yes.
a 3-year sunset on it, so we can try this experiment. If it doesn't work, then it goes away.
Yeah, that's the only answer. If we know it's going to pass, ask them for a sunset.
That's great. Do you have anything you'd like to add before we get out of here on next commercial?
No, except for thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it was my pleasure. And like I said, you gave us more information than we knew what to do with, and I hope people take advantage of that, because they're not going to get this a lot of other places. You're probably not hearing this in a lot of other areas. So I appreciate you for joining us. And we're going to go to a commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Stop in today to the all-new one-stop gun shop, Hole in the Wall Gun Shop in Coos Bay. Your area leader in quality firearms. Hole in the Wall Gun Shop proudly features the top brands of new and used handguns, hunting rifles, black rifles, antique and collectible guns, ammo, mace, and more. Gun cleaning and repair, expert advice, and handgun safety classes for concealed carry permits are offered too. So stop into Hole in the Wall Gun Shop across from Cumion's on Highway 101 South in Coos Bay. We buy, sell, or trade.
The RV business is booming at the Boomin' Y, and Gibbs RV is looking for nice pre-owned RVs to consign or buy. Gibbs RV makes it so simple. They will come to your location, give you a fair appraisal, and help take care of all the paperwork. It doesn't get any easier than that. So let the professionals at Gibbs RV take the hassle out of selling or consigning your RV. Stop by and see them today at 1845 Ocean Boulevard in Coos Bay by the Big Boomin' Y in Empire, or check them out at gibbsrv.com.
Hi, Danny at Far West Tire and Auto here. Sometimes deer like to jaywalk, or even once in a while a basketball forgets to look both ways before bouncing across the street. When those moments happen, be ready for the stop with the Michelin Premier All-Season Tire, a tire design with more performance in mind. Far West Tire and Auto on Highway 101 Coos Bay. Always the right tire, always the right price.
We're back in session. It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
You know, the nice thing about live radio is that you always don't get everything right, and everyone can see it. So, well, everyone can hear it. I guess I'm used to live TV. Jim Bice called and made another point that was valid that I kept Joann here to discuss was they're getting ready to change the way they're taxing business. They want to tax it on the real market value, and which will increase it 40 to 60%. Have you seen this bill?
I haven't seen it, but then I'm not on that subcommittee, but I should probably take a look at it.
Oh yeah, and it's what it will do is that it'd increase businesses' taxes up to 40 to 60% because they're going to be taxed on the real market value of their business and not the appraised value. So I thought Jim wanted me to make that point before we went on, and so.
How can they tax businesses on their real market value? They're not selling it.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do this either. So,
and how do they? Are they going to ask the business owner to value his own business and to determine his own tax? And I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
No, it didn't make any sense to me because if you don't have, how do you know what real market value is and who gets to determine this?
You don't. And I mean, you'd have to have somebody who knew businesses, maybe hire an appraiser. To give a fair market value for your business. There isn't, businesses just don't sell that well or that often. So how do you calculate that?
I don't know. And that's why I was blown away that they even tried to come up with some type of formula where it would be based on sheer speculation in many parts of it. Because some businesses, the business itself is just in the building where the building is, what's the valuable part of it, because a business may function on accounts, and so, say you're a peanut roaster and it's just the business is only valued at what the business makes, but then you're talking about the real market value of the property is completely different.
Yeah, it could be very complicated.
Yeah.
It could be. I mean, what would you do? Would you then, once you had an income figure, would you base it on an income level? But then what part of the income is considered taxable?
I
mean,
know.
We could not ever even fathom gross income. That would be ridiculous.
I'm going to send you that bill. I'll send that over to you to take a look at. Yeah, because I'm sure you're sitting there and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, now I've gotten way over my head. But yeah, you're right. I mean, you take all this stuff into calculations. That's why when I was reading the bill, I didn't understand how they were going to be able to do that too, because it's all the market doesn't always provide what a speculator is. You know what I mean?
Every business is different. It's totally different. You can categorize them, but they're all different.
And it's only worth what someone will pay for it, right?
Exactly.
So how can you guess what that is? Someone may come in, a big money guy and may be able to buy it a lot more higher price than before.
And then there's businesses that sell for less because they have to close their doors. I mean, how do you call that market? What do you do?
I'm going to send you the bill. I don't know. So I'm glad Jim called and got us on that. But yeah, I'm
Yeah, send me that, please. I'll check into that.
So if you guys are listening, I want you all to, once again, this is very important, go to OregonHeritage.org. If you have property around the Bay, there's 1,600 of you, plus there's more because I'm sure there's things that are going to happen to related properties. And in fact, I think everyone should just go ahead in Coos Bay and in the entire county, we should just go and get this form. We should have it notarized, and we should sign it and send it in, whether you live in Bandon, whether you live at the other side of the county, wherever, just to make a point. And I think that would be something that would be very valid. If we had time, and we don't have time because this is a very short process on this historic district, they gave us almost no notice. They gave us notice in January, and they didn't even tell you guys on the Planning Commission.
No.
And so they had short notice, and then we're only going to get 2 months to debate this out. See, if we had a little bit longer, we could have the county put an advisory question on it, and then they would see how many people were absolutely against this, because I imagine 70 to 80% would say no on this.
I think that it would be even a higher percentage.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
Every person has to protect his property.
And I agree with you. And like she said, and like Jim said, If you don't do this, there's no one out there who's going to do this for you. This is the great thing about a free country. If you're not vigilant, then you're the one who gets eaten. You got to remember that. If you don't want to get eaten, you don't want to lose your property, then you need to step up and you need to defend your property. And I think we're getting ready to go for that half-hour break. And Joann, once again, I thank you for joining us again.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you next time, and we'll be right back.
For 20 years, the Oregon Firearms Federation has been Oregon's only no-compromise voice for gun rights. While other organizations who claim to speak for gun owners made deals to bargain away your liberty and property, often stood face-to-face with the gun grabbers in Salem to protect your rights. But there's never been a more dangerous time to be a gun owner in Oregon, and we need your help. To become part of the fight for Second Amendment rights and to sign up for free legislative alerts, please visit our website at OregonFirearms.org. That's OregonFirearms.org.
In just a fast few minutes from right now, you can have life insurance for up to $500,000 without taking a medical exam and without leaving your home. We're Fast Life, and we're going to make this easy and fast. Odds are that you don't have enough insurance, or you're paying way too much for what you got, or you don't have any, and that's not good. Listen, nobody likes to think about life insurance, but we're grown-ups now, so call and protect your family. 1-800-254-9567, or go to fastlife.life. You've got insurance? That's great, but you may be able to get more coverage and pay less than what you're paying now. And with no medical exam, you can get it right over the phone, and that's fast. Faster than a speeding bullet? No, but fast. And we also said we make it easy. So call and get quotes, then submit an application over the phone, and that's it. And that's easy. Get approved, and coverage starts instantly. And that's fast. Faster than the speed of light? No, but fast. Call 1-800-254-9567 or go to fastlife.life. Fastlife.life. It's revolutionary. It's Fast Life.
If you run your own business, when you're not on the job, you're on the road. In your van. Signs that say detour and do not enter are just plain bad for business. Well, here's a sign that's great for business. It says 0% financing and up to 2 years complimentary scheduled maintenance on Mercedes-Benz Sprinter or Metris vans. Powerful, capable, and affordable. That's Mercedes-Benz Van Power. With pioneering safety technologies and low total cost of ownership, Mercedes-Benz vans are the right choice for your business. Check out the full lineup of Mercedes-Benz vans starting at just $25,995. 0% financing and up to 2 years complimentary scheduled maintenance. That's van power for all. Mercedes-Benz. Vans. Born to run.
Starting ad price for first base model Metris Worker Cargo Van. Excludes all options, taxes, title, registration, transportation charge, and dealer prep fee. Please see your dealer or go to mvvans.com for further details and exclusions.
Are your medical bills piling up due to cancer or another serious illness? You are not alone. Many people face this challenge. Here's how Coventry Direct can help. You can receive an immediate cash payment by selling your life insurance policy. If you have $100,000 or more of life insurance, you may be eligible to sell your policy, even a term policy. To find out if you qualify, call Coventry Direct today at 1-800-510-2800 to speak to one of our policy specialists. That's 1-800-510-2800. The cash you receive from selling your policy can be used to help pay medical bills or whatever you choose to give you financial security and peace of mind. Call Coventry Direct at 1-800-510-2800 or visit us at coventrydirect.com. Coventry Direct, giving you the cash you need when you need it most. Coventry Direct is a marketing company and will refer qualified policies to a licensed entity.
We're back in session. It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
All right. Thank you for joining me, Coos Bay and Coos County. We're back again. And right now we're going to go to Tim's at Tom and Gig. Tim, are you there?
I am here, sir.
Hey, have you been listening to this crazy stuff that's going on?
Oh, yeah, what people want to take control of everything you have, right? And make you pay for it.
And make you pay for it. You know, what
That's
a
pretty
deal.
cool. What a concept. I think we should start doing the same thing to them.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's well, they, again, if you don't know your rights, you don't have any. How do you tax private property? How do you do that?
I don't know. And the idea that they're going to tax, the real market value based on speculation, I mean, man, that's really going to get tough.
So, like, speculating how far? Like 30 years down the road, or
yeah,
6 months, or 5 hours, or what are they going to do? Whatever suits their fancy, that's what it's going to be.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah, it's up to their discretion. It's like this new historic district. It's going to be up to the discretion of the tribe that's now in charge of it to decide what you can and can't do with your house.
Yeah, well, like I said, Jim was saying, you want to pay the mortgage, you want to pay a taxi, you want to pay the insurance, you want to come mow my lawn to make it look nice and everything, so we can keep increasing your taxes when we make our house look better, right? Just to really put some incentive into making your place look nice and not a dump. So, hey, what's good for them? I mean, like, take care of my stuff, pay for it.
Right.
Not leave me the you-know-what alone.
Yeah.
So, this is the problem. They know you can't go to court, probably. You don't know how to fight it.
Right.
They got unlimited resources financially, probably, using your tax dollars against you. So as long as we keep these kind of people in power, we're probably going to get a lot of the same. So, unfortunately, we don't have those kind of resources. I know, because I fought a few things in court. It's a joke. It's a railroad. Just round and round we go, and where we stop, nobody knows until your bank account's empty.
Yeah, and that's right. And they've got a lot of money and a lot of lawyers to keep playing chase the tail,
Yeah, well, the biggest thing is we're working on getting property off the tax roll. Just let everybody out there know they can't tax private property. Otherwise, it's not your property; it's theirs. If
Right.
they can tax it and you don't pay it, and they can take it, it ain't yours; it's theirs. They're telling you we can take it because it's ours. Oh, really? How is that? Some fraudulent BS document doesn't. No judge sign.
Right.
A judgment against you. It ain't. All this stuff is just fraud, same way with your taxes. But anyway, long story short, we're here to try to help you spend your money wisely and get the most out of it. So if you need an alignment done, or you just need an inspection of your rig done underneath, haven't had one done for a while, we got a real nice inspection that we do for folks. It usually takes sometimes about an hour to do one, actually. It takes a little time to look things over really well. But, your basic things, your tires, your brakes, your shocks, oil leaks, alignments, all those sort of different things, suspension, that takes a really big toll on everything. When things don't go straight down the road, your tires wear funny, and you don't realize the alignment's out until you ruin a $300 set of tires, and it would have cost you, $70 for an alignment. and would have drove a lot better the whole time. But if you need, steps or tonneau covers, exhaust work, maybe you just want a nice exhaust tip on your truck or your car, we can do that as well. I do a lot of that here. You want some winches and lights, for your rig, we can put some nice big backup lights on your pickup or your headache racks, and make so you can see what the heck's going on when you're going backwards. The lights that are on them are really not very adequate, especially when it's really dark, foggy, and it's just nice to be able to see. If you're old like me, you want to be able to see all you can. But towing stuff, RC cars, all that kind of good stuff, man, just swing down, easy to find us, 135 South Shonham in the Coos Bay, and just give us a call at 541-888-4660. And, I was going to have a nice quote, but I was kind of looking through my thing here, but it says, if I want to be free from any other man's dictation, I must understand that I can have no other man under my control.
Right.
I don't want these people dictating to me anything. I was born a free man, not a slave. At least
Right.
That's what I thought, but they sure want to make you feel like a slave. So I encourage people to start asserting themselves a little bit more, and actually maybe read the Bill of Rights, read some of the Federalist Papers and stuff. You'd be surprised what you find in there. Educate yourself, because if you don't know your rights, you don't have any, like I always say. But last time I checked, all our rights are still intact. They can't remove them. They can't take our gun rights away. They can't do any of those things. I don't care what they say. They can say whatever they want. Doesn't mean it's going to be law.
Right.
Policy is not law either, as we well know.
Right.
So it's just policy. It doesn't mean it's necessarily lawful, and it doesn't pass constitutional muster. I don't care what it is. It's invalid. It's fraud. It doesn't have any standing. So go pound sand on all those crap, all the gun control stuff. I only know gun control, and that's on my index finger.
Right. That's absolutely right.
Anyway, so you gotta
Tim,
start going. No, and if the people show up en masse at some of these court hearings and sort of hold these people accountable, realizing that maybe we might get sued for this stuff. We're violating our oath of office. You think?
Right.
So it's I know you know that, but a lot of people just gotta really. It's just irritating as heck to see people get railroaded. It's frustrating. But anyway, you guys are great. Good show, man. Give me a scream and keep trucking, and hope to talk to you next week.
You got it. Till then, you take care.
Thanks, guys. Keep it up. Later.
That was Tim over at Tom and Gigs. One of the issues that I've been dealing with for the last couple of months, Bandon has been dealing with for the last 70 years, is the Bandon pool. I don't know if you all known about this. If you don't, it's quite the story. It's quite the tale. Many years ago, probably about 30, they wanted to put this huge water park down by the Coquille Point. And, of course, people didn't want to pay for it because it was going to be a public pool. And so they put the kibosh on that. And then a couple of years later, they decided to put the pool in the park. And so they wanted to create a new recreation district. And guess what? The voters said, no, we're tired of paying in taxes. And we voted it down. And we just voted it down for a second time. The city asked the citizens of Bandon if they wanted to take city funds and pay for that pool. And, of course, we said no. Once again, we said no, and with an overwhelming majority. It was over 60%. But do you think that the people in Bandon would even take that into consideration? No, they're still trying to push this pool down our throat. Well, I've got 56 million reasons not to build a pool in Bandon. And one of them is that a parent of a boy who drowned at Timber Hill filed a $56 million lawsuit. Now, get this. This isn't a public pool. This is a pool that's regulated just by the county, and now the county's drawn into this lawsuit. The suit asks for a $56.6 million in damages in the death. They have named the Oregon Health Authority and Benton County Environmental Health as co-defendants. See that? They pulled in the state, and they pulled in the county with that. Well, one is a state agency, one is a county agency. Well, multiple Timber Hill employees were also named as co-defendants. The suit alleges Timber Hill was originally licensed to operate the pool without lifeguards because it was only open to the club's membership. But they opened it up to everyone, made it an open pool, and there was a child who drowned, and the parents of that child is now suing, and the suit also alleges that in 2008, Timber Hill replaced a slide on its outdoor pool with a slide that was large enough that Timber Hill should have been required to employ lifeguards despite its limited membership. But the club never notified the state. So now the state's responsible because the suit also alleges that the state of Oregon and Benton County failed to properly inspect and license the pool by not noticing these variations in annual inspections. So once again, here's a pool. It's not even a public pool, but because the county didn't make the proper inspections and the state didn't go and make the proper inspections, all of these people are now co-defendants in this $56 million lawsuit, which is the exact reason we've been trying to get through the brains of our city councilor and our mayor that we do not need a pool in Bandon because it's just another liability. And if you don't believe that, listen to this story. The city of Medford may have to close their pool, and this is the only pool for the county, for that county in Jackson County. Medford's only municipal pool is on life support, hemorrhaging 3,000 gallons a day, and is in danger of being closed at any moment. The pool was built in 1960, so you can see it's been around quite a while, and the maintenance workers may be able to keep the Jackson pool limping along for another season or two, but if it closes this summer or next, it will leave thousands of children with nowhere to swim for that county. The pool needs at least $700,000 in repairs to extend its life, in addition to $221,000 a year to operate the facility. But they're now saying that the $700,000 is no guarantee that the pool's problems will be fixed because there are so many unknowns when working with an aging facility. So once again, there's two stories that shows the huge liabilities and cost of swimming pools. We've voted against this pool in Bandon, and we've sent this information to the city councilors, and hopefully the city councilors will get a clue that a pool is nothing but a sinkhole, and we, the citizens of Bandon, don't want it anymore. So stop listening to the few privileged people who want to make this their own personal pool because they're tired of driving over here to North Bend or Coos Bay to go swimming because they want to be able to have somewhere close to go to their nice little house. Well, stop listening to those people because they're just loud, squeaky wheels, and listen to the results of the voters. And that goes directly to you, to the city of Bandon. Well, it's the second hour again, and I've got another contest. And if you would like to win this contest, it's for one of my favorite restaurants, Lucky Star's. And Lucky Star has been around for quite a while, and they have an incredible sesame seed chicken. It's one of my favorites when I go out to dinner. I love going to the Lucky Star. And they also have a menu that has many different varieties on it. But if you would like to win the house special, which includes the barbecue pork, sweet and sour pork, fried shrimp, spring roll, pork fried rice, and pork chow mein, all you have to do is be the third caller at 541-267-2124, and we'll be right back.
Looking for a new or used firearm? You should get to know the friendly folks at World Pawn Exchange. Located at 1980 Sherman in downtown North Bend, World Pawn Exchange buys, sells, and trades firearms of all types. And with their extensive, ever-changing inventory, they could have just the right firearm for you. If they don't have that gun that you want in stock, they'll be more than happy to special order it for you. World Pawn Exchange in downtown North Bend, where you'll find more than you can possibly imagine.
Well, I was driving across town when my car got down, started lurching and trying to die. Well, luckily there was a shop, and when it struggled to a stop, a nice fella met me right outside. I said, "Man, something's wrong. What the heck is going on?" He said, "I tell you this, I got no doubt. You just relax and don't you worry. We can fix it in a hurry, 'cause your car is what we're all about. We do it all."
Bayshore Auto and RV Repair, your one-stop shop for all your automotive and RV mechanical repairs. Stop by and see Jeff and his friendly staff on Bayshore Drive in Coos Bay.
The clear leader, Herbal Choices. Join the Herbal Choices happy family for best selection. 100 strains, always fresh. Unlike stores that always have the same old products, there's always something new at Herbal Choices. 100 strains and growing. And check Jim Belushi's new harvest. Just in again and better than ever at Herbal Choices. Coos Bay, Charleston, and Bandon. And online at theherbalchoices.com.
Hey, Jim Belushi here. Herbal Choices on the southern Oregon coast is where you can find my new harvest. Belushi's Private Vault. Check it out.
And reasons are clear. With 100 strains, Herbal Choices sells so much product that everything is always fresh. And there seems to be something new every time I see my Herbal Choices happy family. All our friends agree. The clear winner is Herbal Choices. The only choice.
Check it out. It's the only choice.
Do not operate a vehicle under the influence of marijuana. For use by people 21 and older, keep out of the reach of children.
And now, here's some food for thought from Jim Bice.
The liberals and fake news media keep telling us that the United States is a racist country. And they're right. It seems that every time you listen to news or turn on the TV, we're bombarded with claims of white supremacy, white privilege, calls for reparations for slavery, and the plight of poor black and brown people who just can't seem to survive without more taxpayer money, your money. At the same time, we hear new declarations almost daily about the things in our society that are racist. The movie Mary Poppins is now racist because one of the characters, a chimney sweep, is supposedly wearing blackface. We already know that President Trump is a racist because he wants to keep criminals, drug traffickers, human traffickers, terrorists, and violent gang members out of our country. Because of this, did you know that walls are now racist? Who knew? Through all of this whining, there are a few things that don't seem to be mentioned. Does anybody remember an event called the Civil War in which over 500,000 Americans died, most of them white, to, among other things, abolish slavery? The only real slavery occurring in America today is the human trafficking across our southern border that the Democrats and the fake news media seem to support. If you turn on your TV, whether it's to catch the news, weather, the many insipid so-called sitcoms, professional sports, or anything else, what you'll see is black people and Hispanics represented at a rate of almost 3 to 1 the number of blacks and Hispanics in the overall population. Of course, we have the Congressional Black Caucus and the Congressional Hispanic Caucus. But where's the Congressional White Caucus? Until the presidency of Barack Obama, America had made great strides toward eliminating racial disparities in employment, wages, opportunities for advancement, and inclusion of all races and ethnicities into our culture. But because Obama is black, any resistance to his economy-killing policies was considered racist, and that label was attached to anything and everything not endorsed and supported by liberal Democrats and the corrupt fake news media. Now, according to liberals and the fake news media, Columbus was a racist. Statues and monuments are racist. The great men who founded this country were all racist. Those who oppose the scam of man-made global warming are racists. And everyone who wants America to be safe, secure, wealthy, and strong are also racists. So if you weren't born black or brown, or something other than white, you are a hateful, disgusting, white-privileged, white supremacist and deserve to spend your entire life working to compensate all the poor victims of your inherent racism. Yes, racism is rampant in America, but the question you have to ask is just who are the real racists? Just some food for thought.
We're back in session. It's the Rob Taylor Report. And here he is, Rob Taylor.
It was good to hear from Jim. He was on earlier asking some very important questions of my last guest of my last hour. And I want to put in my 2 notes on racism. I'm someone who believes that racism is a misnomer. It was something that was created by someone, who just created a word and tried to put a label on people, and now we're using that. And the fact is that we're all the same race. There's only one race. We're human race. We just have different colors. It's kind of like dogs. Some dogs have spots, some don't, but they're still all dogs. Well, we're humans. We're all humans. And we all share this. And if you go back far enough, we all share the same genetic traits going all the way back to the same tribe in Africa. You can see this through genetic testing. And so basically what I'm saying is we all have the same mother, not from another. That's right. So when you sit there and you hear people talk about racisms, you ask them, well, what other race is there besides the human race? When I look at people, I try to look at everyone in their eyes and try to judge them as their individual people based on their own actions. So this is something we really have to get over because it's made up. It doesn't even exist because we're all the same race. So I just wish we could get over that. We're having a movie night again. That last movie night we had last month was so good and so fun. And I'll tell you what, I've never seen that movie. It was called The Death of a Nation, which was a takeoff on A Birth of a Nation by Dinesh D'Souza. And it was an incredibly informative movie. If you haven't seen it, you can catch it on YouTube. Well, it was such a good movie, and we had such a good turnout that we're having another dinner and movie night for conservatives. If you're a liberal, you can still show up. We don't have a problem with that. We're having a pulled pork dinner, but you have to bring your own side dishes and drinks. And the movie this time is going to be Hillary's America. This is another Dinesh D'Souza. In fact, it was we're doing this opposite. The movie we showed last month was the second movie, and this is the first movie, Hillary's America. I haven't seen it, and I thought it ought to be something that if it's anything as good as the last movie, The Death of a Nation, then I recommend everyone should see this, and you can, and it's going to happen Friday, March 8th, 2019 at the North Bend Library. We're going to start dinner at 6 p.m., and then the movie starts at 7 p.m. There will be political signs for sale from the group Oregon Pushback. We've got a whole bunch of signs that says the Oregon legislature wants to take your guns. Now, I can't just give these signs away because we just paid a lot of money for them, but we are going to be selling those signs at this event, and if you would like one, we have several 4x8 signs, and we have several yard signs, and we're also going to have a 50-50 raffle, and donations are accepted because we plan on having future events. So if you want a dinner and a movie, please show up Friday, March 8th at the North Bend Library. Dinner is at 6, movies at 7, and by the way, it's bring your own side dish and drinks. So if you want a side dish and a drink with your pulled pork, then you're going to have to bring your own. And I hope to see you all there. I don't know if you've been keeping up with some of the things that have been going on up in Portland, but any of you who know Joey Gibson, he is a member of Patriot. He's the leader of Patriot Prayer. And one of the things there's a big controversy going on because one of the police officers has been, when they're during their events up there in Portland where they do their Patriot Prayer, and their last one was on January 20th, as someone who organizes rallies and has organized protests, a lot of times I'll contact the police before the event so they know what we're doing, so they don't think that there's something nefarious going on out in the streets. And one of the things that we do is we keep in contact with each other. In fact, they'll have an officer who's usually the liaison between the protesters and the police office. And I haven't had to do that here because this is such a small community that I already know the police chief and I know the sheriff, and they are already quite aware of what we're doing. But in Portland and in cities like where I'm coming from, Albuquerque, there's you don't really know what's going to happen at some of these protests, especially at this Patriot Prayer. And what had happened is that one of the officers, his name is Lieutenant Jeff Naya, he's the head of the Portland's response team, the rapid response team, and he was talking with the leader, Joey Gibson's, and it showed that it appeared that he was showing favoritism to Gibson and his followers during multiple clashes with counter-protesters over the past 2 years. But the fact is that he was probably just giving friendly advice to Joey about how to avoid some of the counter-protesters, and then Joey would give him a notice on what was going on in the middle of the protest. This is very important because when you do one of these events, and I've been in a protest, you can have like 3,000 people there. And you got to have some idea where you're going if you're one of those protests where you're marching. Sometimes we used to march from the university down to downtown area. But you got to let these people know. But the mayor of Portland is making a big deal out of this, saying that the police is showing favoritism to Joey Gibson, and showing favoritism is a bad thing because they keep calling Joey a racist and a white supremacist, and which is the last thing that he is. He's a constitutionalist. There's many people of different colors in his group, and in fact, Joey himself is half Japanese. So I'm not sure how you become a white supremacist and still be half Japanese, but according to Antifa and many of the liberals in Portland, they're really getting upset about this and thought that these officers were showing bias by communicating with the protesters. And you have to communicate with both sides. And I'm willing to bet that if there was a Lieutenant Jeff Naya there in Portland who was communicating with Joey Gibson, that there was another officer in communication with the leaders of Antifa or the counter-protesters. I can guarantee you that because that's exactly the scenario that would play out any time that I would be having protests. And so there's nothing wrong with having cops in contact with the people who are in charge of these movements. And when you have people like the mayor of Portland who are trying to make a big deal about it, the only reason they're doing that is for political capital. And they're trying to gain that political capital so they can look better in the eyes of their liberal buddies by going after these horrible white supremacists, which we know Joey's, once again, is not a white supremacist. So I thought that was some interesting news. And this month, we're going to be in Washington again. We're going to be up in another county at Washington State University. And me, Joey, and the Washington 3% group is going to be giving our speech on the Second Amendment Sanctuary Ordinance. And as you know, many of the sheriffs up there have taken a stance that they will not enforce any of the gun laws that have come out of the Washington legislature, such as 1639. And this is important and relates to what's going on in Oregon, because eventually we'll be facing those same laws. And hopefully many of us will be there to respond to this, because like we said before, if we don't fight for our rights, if we don't fight for our property, no one's going to do it for us. And I can't do it for everybody. And so at some point, you're going to have to take a stand. And there's a lot of ways to do that. That's part of this political therapy. Political therapy is getting out and being an activist against the politics and ideologies that are tearing you down. Don't let them tear you down, Coos County. So until next week, you carry on, okay? Carry on.
Finally, the way talk should be heard. 6:30.